sex assault suspect. Police search for a man accused of assaulting a teenaged girl. Last call at the Ship and Anchor?
It's going to destroy a landmark of pubs. You know, this is one of the very few English-style pubs.
How a housing development could affect a local landmark. And a century of skiing.
I actually didn't realize it till I really started writing it, how I do have a connection to so many people.
A local family's deep connection to Rocky Mountain history.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Ian White.
Good afternoon. After a nearly 2-year investigation, an Alberta man has been charged with sexual assault of a teenaged girl. But RCMP don't know where he is. Alicia Fieldberg joins us with the details. And Alicia, police say charges were laid this month, but the alleged crimes happened several years ago at a horse ranch in Clearwater County.
Ian, Barry Francis Baker now faces 3 charges, including sexual assault by choking, and sexual exploitation. A 72-year-old Baker also goes by Bear. He was one of the operators of Wild Horse Ranch, which offers camps and retreats near Rocky Mountain House. A Wild Horse Ranch's website no longer shows Baker as part of the team. The operator tells CTV News he has nothing to do with Wild Horse Ranch. I am the full owner and solo entrepreneur of Wild Horse Ranch. Court documents say the incidents happened between 2018 and 2020. The alleged victim contacted RCMP in 2024. Now, she tells CTV that she was 16 when it started. She can't be identified under a publication ban.
It has been a big relief kind of knowing that I have been listened to and I have been believed, but it's also just very emotionally difficult at the same time.
He's got a warrant for his arrest, so ultimately our goal here right now is to arrest him and bring him before the courts to face these charges.
RCMP urged Baker to come forward, or anyone who might know where he is to leave an anonymous tip with Crime Stoppers. Ian?
Thank you, Alicia. And Calgary police have released this composite sketch of a wanted man. On January 7th, the man opened the passenger door of a woman's car in the Beltline. He exposed himself, committed an indecent act, and made lewd comments. The woman was able to drive away. The suspect is about 35 years old. Contact police or Crime Stoppers if you have tips. 2 suspicious deaths in the northeast community of Redstone this week are not believed to be linked to a series of extortion attempts in the area. That, according to police who responded to a home on Redstone Park around 12:40 Wednesday morning to find 2 people suffering from severe injuries. A man and woman in their 20s died. An autopsy is done, and police say they know the cause of death but are not releasing those details at this point in their investigation. They have, however, ruled out a connection to ongoing extortion attempts targeting the South Asian community, including recent shootings in Redstone and Taradale that happened just days earlier. Pierre Poilievre is facing a leadership review vote from Conservative delegates in Calgary. He's also set to hit the stage at 6:30. Jordan Canagan is at the BMO Centre with more. And Jordan, what are we expected to hear in tonight's speech?
Ian, Pierre Poilievre is actually going through a practice run of his speech inside right now, and we were all told to come outside. But when he gets going for real, he is expected to speak for about an hour. And speaking to some of the Conservative MPs and staffers here today, they say that that speech will cover a wide range of topics, including ideas for improving affordability, the crime situation, bolstering Canada's military and pipelines. But some delegates we've talked to here today also hope to hear from the party leader about talks of Alberta separation. Most of the day today was about policy, discussions about priorities and pitches taking place behind closed doors before some eventually hit the floor. The National Convention serving as a reset for the party after last election, and it's also meant for an opportunity to chart out the Conservatives' path forward. The leadership vote will happen later after Poilievre makes his pitch for why he should stay on as leader.
I would love for Mr. Poilievre to talk a little bit about the succession and bring down the temperature and focus on ideas rather than the rhetoric. And I think he's done well so far. But I would, I'm hoping Mr. Poilievre can just focus on solving problems.
Leadership review voting will go on for about 2 hours today after Poilievre wraps up his speech on stage. It is widely expected that he will have ample support in that vote. Results are expected to come tonight just before midnight. Ian?
Thanks, Jordan. The owner of a beloved Beltline pub is sounding the alarm about a proposed new condo project. The Ship and Anchor has been a staple on 17th Avenue for more than 3 decades. It's facing a proposed 6-story mixed-use development right next door. City Council recently approved land use changes allowing 2 additional floors above the pub and the creation of about 130 apartment units, including affordable housing. The Ship and Anchor's owner says the plan threatens the pub's live music and vibrant atmosphere. He's now calling on patrons and neighbors to submit concerns to the city online before the project moves forward.
They want to add 2 stories to this building. You can't do that without adding structure to the building, and you cannot do that without structuring right through the existing building, which means we're going to have columns being added inside the pub. As far as I know, there are no other ways to do that. Long story short, there is just no way that you're going to build 130 units on this site and not greatly disrupt this business.
The project's developer Strategic Group says the design will include sound mitigation and believes future tenants will be attracted to the hustle and bustle of 17th Avenue's bar scene. If approved, the development is expected to start mid-year and take about 18 months to complete. The Confluence Historic Site now has a free, accessible space for Indigenous ceremonies and programming. The grand opening was held this morning. It's called the Holy Gathering Place, or Na Dowa Bidoganop in Blackfoot. Indigenous organizations and individuals can book the indoor and outdoor space at no charge. The event also celebrated the opening of a vibrant mural created by artist Nicole Wolfe. It wraps around the exterior of the Holy Gathering Place. Funding for the project comes from the City of Calgary Capital Grant Program. Okay, the story really in the weather has been incredible weather throughout the week, and it just seems to carry on into the weekend.
We're not even at the halfway point of this warming trend that we're in. We're just really going to turn it up a couple of notches for this weekend. So that last day of January tomorrow, prepare for a nice double-digit high. Today was really gorgeous, too. We managed to get up to 9 degrees. That was reported at the airport, which is currently at 8 degrees right now. Very calm winds out there. We're just dealing with some clouds. Those will start to move out overnight, but some areas of the province are dealing with some yellow level wind warnings like the Crow's Nest Pass right now, and more in that north central part of the province, some freezing rain warnings in effect due to some precipitation moving in that way. We're really not going to see any of that move into the Calgary area overnight. Like I mentioned, those clouds clearing, sunny start to the morning there, and then like I mentioned, double-digit high by afternoon. Your 24-hour forecast brought to you by 5th Avenue Volkswagen. Family owned, community driven. Discover more at 5th Avenue Volkswagen.
Thanks, Gina. There will always be a very special feeling in Calgary about the Olympics. And now you can see this city's and other cities' connection to the Games thanks to a collection put together by a philanthropist. Also ahead, a century of skiing at Mount Norquay through the eyes of a man who grew up with the ski hill. Also, if you have a news tip for us, text us at 10400. With the Winter Olympics starting 1 week from today, the Olympic Oval is creating a unique permanent display honoring the Games. Nearly every Winter Olympics torch dating back to the 1988 Calgary Olympics is now on display at the skating facility. The display also highlights Canada's speed skating success. A philanthropist who's been collecting the Olympic torches, now on display, hopes this reminds people about the Olympic Oval's impact.
It's a moment for us to pause and reflect. How many times have we come here and not thought about 1988? And I hope as people come and visit the gallery and visit the space, they not only remember 1988, but now they're able to take those moments and walk through the Winter Games that have preceded 88.
The speed skaters training at the Olympic Oval are now in Europe and on their way to this year's Games in Milano Cortina. The opening ceremony takes place February 6th, with speed skaters hitting the ice the following day. Mount Norquay is celebrating its 100th anniversary this ski season. Staff found records showing in 1926 people from Banff would hike up to Norquay to ski. One of the pioneers of the mountain is Eddie Hunter. His daughter, Kendall, is writing a blog about her family's history with the hill. Norquay has been part of her life since she was a toddler, and she's happy to see it reach such a milestone.
And I just thought it was special because it is such a local hill to have that perspective, you know, writing about it myself because I literally grew up on the hill. And I actually didn't realize it till I really started writing it, how I do have a connection to so many people.
Norquay is planning a celebration on Saturday, March 28th. Former staff, volunteers, and ski club members, along with the public, are invited to share some of their favorite stories. And Gina, so far this ski season, it's been terrific conditions out there.
Yeah.
But they would probably like a little fresh snow this week.
Yeah, and it's this weekend they might get a little bit, but it's definitely going to feel more of like a spring skiing weekend for them. And then a ridge of high pressure really going to start to settle in over southern Alberta by midweek. And yeah, unfortunately, those higher elevations are going to feel the effect of that as well. This angle here through our Skywatch looks like a nice Chinook arch there. Winds aren't very powerful right now, so you might see a little bit of scattered precipitation in some parts of the city this evening before we get some nice clearing overnight and that sunny start to Saturday. Very windy to the south of us, like I mentioned a little earlier, in the Pincher Creek area right now, seeing winds anywhere between 40 to 70 kilometers an hour, but gusts could pick up to about 100 kilometers an hour, as indicated on the screen there, while there's that freezing rain warning in effect, really from west to east Alberta in the north central part of the province. That really won't impact us here. It's not moving in this direction, but it's all part of this big system that's pushing in from the Pacific into BC right now. So what could happen, again, maybe some scattered showers for the Calgary area before those mountains really start to evaporate a lot of that precipitation moving into the East Kootenays tonight, drying out over the mountaintops, and then being nice and warm for us here on the other side of the mountain range. 9 degrees for Lethbridge right now, 10 for Calgary, so it looks like we made it up to a high of 10 degrees. 0 in the Red Deer area currently, while Edmonton a little cooler at -1. Tomorrow, nice double-digit day once again for the city at 10 and 11 for Lethbridge. A really lovely day for tomorrow. Thanks to what we're seeing on the screen here, this is your ridge of high pressure really starting to develop. And as I advance the graph here, we're just going to see it even grow and get more pronounced by the time late Tuesday, Wednesday comes around. Take a look at this. So this is what I was saying with the ski hills. Unfortunately, they're going to feel a lot of the melt from this system as it moves in. A very dominant ridge of high pressure here. We'll experience the peak of that ridge, I'm predicting, by Wednesday, and then we'll gradually start to cool off again. But it's going to be a very long stretch here of mild above seasonal conditions. There could be some windy days for sure, but we'll see more of those double-digit temperatures in areas in the south here with a lot of sunshine, some on and off clouds. And I'm really thinking we're not going to see much of a change in this weather pattern until around February 11th. That's what the models are suggesting right now. That's when some cooler air from the northeast will start to push in. But this 5-day forecast, I mean, not a lot to complain about here in the city. 10 degrees tomorrow, 8 on Sunday, Groundhog Day on Monday. We'll see what the groundhog has to say, but my prediction, at least for the next week and a half, is you're going to be enjoying some spring-like weather.
Thank you, Gina. When you grab a frosty beverage, a lot of work has already gone into it, and some of that work is automated. Just ahead, a look inside Coca-Cola's massive new facility in Calgary. Markets end the week on a seriously sour note. Joining me is Dave Popowich, Portfolio Manager with the Popowich-Karmali Advisory Group. And Dave, Donald Trump named his new chair of the Federal Reserve, and the markets responded.
Yeah, hi, Ian. We have a technical term to define the kind of trading day we saw on the TSX today. We call it a doozy. And that's really what it was. So you're right. The big story today was the announcement of who the next Federal Reserve Chairman is going to be. Of course, that won't take place, that transition, until May. But the market's reaction was largely predicated on the fact that the candidate's past would indicate that he's fairly hawkish, meaning he's He's tough on inflation. He would fight it with interest rates. He tends to want to see a smaller U.S. balance sheet, the quantitative easing issue. And that's really what caught the market's attention. Now, much more so on the Canadian side because of our exposure to materials and metals, both base metals and precious metals. And if you think about that hawkish position, the market interpreting that hawkish position, well, it strengthened the U.S. dollar. And so what you saw is the U.S. dollar against a basket of currencies, including Canada, increase in value. And remember, a lot of money rushing away from the U.S. dollar in the last week or two into the quote-unquote safe haven trade of precious metals, gold and silver. Well, silver at one point was down 30% today. Gold traded down about 10%, down $610, we'll call it. And that had an influence on our index. So you looked under the hood, if you looked at the subsector for gold, if you looked at the subsector for materials, and in fact, technology all down today. And that took the TSX down better than 3%, one of its worst trading days in a very long time.
And how did Apple's results affect tech stocks today?
Well, let me just say they had fantastic financial results, but it just simply wasn't enough to save the big tech trade. Apple stock did trade up about 0.5%, but you look at the other big names, Microsoft was down, Meta was down today. So just not enough to save the tech trade.
All right, we'll see what happens Monday. Thanks very much, Dave.
Bye, Ian.
Coke Canada Bottling has officially opened a new tech-forward, high-density warehouse in Calgary. The soft drink giant's latest venture is this $75 million, 60,000-square-foot bottling plant. It'll help the company centralize storage and reduce reliance on third-party warehousing and transportation. It also features Coke Canada Bottling's first-ever automated storage and retrieval system and 500 human employees, too.
The investment that we are making here really does demonstrate our long-term commitment to the city and to the province. And if you were able to see all the looks on our employees' faces as we were making the announcement today, it really shows that, the commitment of whether it's 50 or 100 years in this multi-generational business, that the jobs that we have here are going to be here in perpetuity.
The new build is on 23rd Street Northeast beside Coke Canada Bottling's existing manufacturing facility and distribution center. The federal and provincial governments are teaming up with internet providers to bring high-speed internet to more communities in Alberta. 27 projects were announced today to connect more than 83,000 homes in over 700 communities. These are the latest projects under the Universal Broadband Fund. That is a $3.2 billion federal initiative to connect more rural and remote communities across Canada. $622 million has been spent for previous projects under the fund in Alberta. The federal government aims to connect all Canadians to high-speed internet by 2030. Pierre Poilievre's political future is being decided in Calgary tonight. Here's Tara Nelson with a look ahead to CTV News at 6.
Hi, Ian. Poilievre is scheduled to deliver his keynote address in about an hour at the BMO Centre. Following that, party members will decide if Poilievre is still the right person to lead. Coming up at 6, what one political scientist will be watching for tonight. Also ahead, Canadian acting legend Catherine O'Hara has passed away. Coming up, we'll have a look back at some of her most iconic performances. Ian.
Thanks, Tara. The moment you hear just a few notes of Bob Marley's music, it puts you in a certain mood, in a certain place. And Dwayne Forrest brings his show Bob Marley, How Reggae Changed the World, to the National Music Centre in Calgary on February 6th, which is Bob Marley's birthday. And joining us is Dwayne Forrest. It's wonderful to see you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So when did your fascination with Bob Marley begin?
Wow. We've always had reggae music playing in the house. My mom had subwoofers at our place. You could feel the bass in your feet when you came to our place. He was always playing,
Bob Marley passed away in 1981, and yet we're still talking about him today. Why do you think his legacy is so long-lasting?
Oh, gosh. Well, first of all, that music, man, you don't even need to speak English. That music just hits. It feels so good. But I think everyone can tell there's something else underneath, something real and important there. And also Bob, just his words, his quotes, his message, what he stood for, that's timeless, and he'll always be relevant.
When you look at his message, you wonder, with the way things are happening in the world today, what would Bob Marley make of what's going on now?
Oh man. There's a part of my show where I talk about where I wish he was still around. Man, he would be appalled because not much has changed. You know, there has been some upward movement, but in a lot of ways we've gone backwards in a few.
Dwayne Forrest performs at the National Music Centre February 6th. To see my extended interview with him, visit ctvnewscalgary.ca. We are not done with this rather unusual warm weather. We have warm weather moving in over the weekend and next week too. Gina has the details coming up. Gina, if you're washing your car this weekend, be prepared to line up.
You saw my car in the parking lot, didn't you? How dirty it was.
I didn't, but it's probably just as messy as mine.
Yeah, I'll be in that line, that's for sure, because the melt is underway, and we're not going to see that rapid fluctuation to cold temperatures, which is sometimes the case for Calgary at this time of year. So a good weekend to be outdoors, whether it's washing the car, going on a walk. Saturday is going to be gorgeous. I mean, today we got to a high of 10 degrees, which is just fabulous. And tomorrow's looking much of the same, Ian. We'll get another day of 10 degrees tomorrow, but we'll add more sunshine into the mix. Sunday, 8 degrees, looking good as well. Groundhog Day, it's looking like spring with a high of 9 and mainly sunny.
Thanks, Gina. A deaf-led theater production in Calgary is exploring extinction without using spoken or signed language. A World Without Them uses a dramatic technique known as visual vernacular. It's a form of physical theater that relies entirely on movement and expression to convey the story. A World Without Them examines extinction as more than the loss of species. Co-creator and performer Landing Krentz says the show is designed to remove language barriers for both deaf and hearing audiences.
One of the largest barriers is accessible theater. When we think about what does theater mean to be accessible, and often theater companies think, well, we just have to hire an interpreter and that's accessible. That doesn't mean it's accessible to a deaf audience. That's mediation. That's not access.
A World Without Them runs February 6th through the 15th at the West Village Theatre. And thanks for joining us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.